Hey everybody, Susan Garrett here. I'm back with Dr. Bob Bailey. We're going to have a little chat about behavior and training. Today, it's about your common seagull. You know, the one you see at the ocean side just picking through yesterday's sandwich? They're actually a lot more clever than you might be giving them credit for. You're going to find out after today the two critical things that are going to make your animal training foolproof. There's no longer going to be he does it in the backyard. I don't know why he can't do it at school. We're going to start by having Dr. Bailey explain one of the projects that you trained for, was it the CIA, the Gull project?
Well, the CIA, the Navy, and some other people.
So tell me, briefly, what was the intent of training these seagulls?
Well, the idea was to get seagulls, and the project was called CGL. Seagulls.
Funny.
Seagulls. Anyway, the project was to get gulls to go out, find something, and bring it back, or to carry something to somewhere and come back and drop it off.
Drop it off.
Yeah. So both.
And so, and the distance that these gulls would travel was quite incredible sometimes. Right?
Yeah, the longest distances were out 10, 15 miles.
And then searching, so if they were to find something, they would search.
Yes, they would be gone for 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, while they're looking for particular objects.
Just mind-boggling to think, if you told your dog to retrieve the ball, and it wasn't obvious in the grass, he'd come back, well, I don't know. Not to say that you couldn't train a dog to search for an hour and a half, but incredible that you were doing this with seagulls. All right, now Bob was telling me this incredible story that happened at the Library of Congress, correct?
Yeah, it was at a meeting that was held really by the military.
Okay.
This meeting was a meeting of high-level military personnel, the generals and colonels and the like,
wow,
who were getting a briefing having to do with security and other uses of some animals over the years. Our presentation had to do with our gulls and cats and some other things that we were doing at the time. And the gulls were trained to go out and do things. And this is a story that Marion told at this conference that I was describing.
And how many people were in the room?
Hundreds. There were hundreds of people there. And I would say that it probably brought tears to the eyes of the admirals and generals and the like because of the focus of the animal that's involved. Let me say that these animals, the particular birds we're talking about, were trained to go out and look for something and bring something back.
Okay.
So the something, by the way, was a red ring. So, and the red ring was just about this big, that's all. And it could be 5 miles or whatever out there, and it's somewhere on this water out there.
Wow.
And it's a very small target.
Yeah.
So the gull would go out and search for this and pick up the red ring and bring it back to us. And it would get a piece of fish when it came in, plus security, and that's key here, security. That meant that nothing could harm it while it's in there. The bird would go out and pick up this red ring and bring it back to us, regardless of where the ring was. So, I should also mention that bald eagles in Arkansas are not an endangered species.
Okay.
There are lots of bald eagles in Arkansas.
Okay.
And there we see them flying around.
And this isn't where this training operation happened that you're going to describe, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it did?
Sure.
This story happened in Arkansas.
It happened in Arkansas.
Okay.
It happened in Arkansas.
Good to know.
Yes, indeed. And lucky we had a veterinarian and everything right there.
Now we've got your attention, don't we? Because there was blood involved. Let's have it, Bob.
Anyway, in Marion's description, the bird flew out, was gone for a long time, found the object and was coming back. Now, this object was close enough where we could see approximately where it was. So we could follow the bird with binoculars and like where it was going. Anyway, it picked up the ring and was coming back. And suddenly a bald eagle appeared. Not just high in the air like they usually were, but very close to our bird and above the bird. The eagle then swooped down and approached our bird, and the bird, I'm sure, saw the eagle and dropped and began flying fairly close to the water. Ordinarily, they would fly at an altitude of about 10, 15 meters.
For viewers who may not know, bald eagles, which, by the way, one just flew by, Bob.
Oh, okay.
Bald eagles
They're listening.
Are known to see a bird with another piece of food and
yes,
just bump them and say, I want.
Yeah, give
okay.
me, give me.
Okay.
Anyway, the bald eagle approached our bird for whatever reason, and our bird dropped down, and the bald eagle then went up, but then made another approach. Now remember, they're approaching our boat while all this is going on.
The gull's flying towards your boat.
Yeah, flying towards the boat. And this time, the eagle flew at our bird, and this time hit the bird. And we saw feathers fly and definitely affected the pathway. But the bird kept coming towards us. Even though it was right next to the surface of the water, it kept coming towards us. The eagle then flew at the bird a third time, this time striking the bird and driving it into the water. And they were close enough to the boat now where the fellows could see that the bird actually was totally submerged by the eagle. The bird, our gull, and the eagle both went into the water. And then the eagle took off, and our gull came out of the water, flapping its wings, getting airborne, carrying the ring.
Cue the heroic music.
The bird, our gull, now is approaching the boat. The guys have the door open, of course, to receive the bird. There's a box in which the gull would fly. And they also arm themselves with paddles because they saw that the eagle was still following our bird. And as our bird came to the platform in front of the box, dropped the ring and went into the box, the eagle approached, and the guys beat off the eagle because the eagle was trying to get into the box at the gull.
Wow.
The bird actually survived and was one of those accepted for operational use.
Should have got a Purple Heart, I think.
Yes, indeed.
That's incredible.
We gave him an extra fish.
Well, at least. And so, like, all of these tough, rough, tough military types were...
Oh, well, that was so interesting because you could just see the intensity that the admirals and generals and colonels and captains were just so focused on. You could hear a pin drop on that part.
So you should be listening to this saying, okay, this seagull was bringing back its retrieve toy, getting beat up by an eagle, and still said, I need you, bring you this. And so now, any dog training, cat training, kangaroo training problem you might be having, you've got to be asking yourself, what do these guys do differently in their training that maybe I could do a little differently?
Well, the real point is making it worthwhile for the animal to do what you want it to do. It has to be worthwhile for the animal. And it was worthwhile. And I have no idea what's going on in the head.
We don't know.
What is it? Food? Well, probably not at that time. Food was probably not. And by the way, it never bothered eating the food when it went inside the box. I know that.
Yeah.
But security. And I mentioned security earlier. Security is an important issue. We provide security.
So that's
So
worthwhile.
we had lots of aspects to provide a motivation, if you will, for the gull to do these things.
So if you're training whatever animal you're training at home, you've got to ask yourself, number one, what is the motivation for the animal to do what you want them to do? And there's two different types of motivation, right? We could motivate them by saying, if you don't, I'm going to hurt you.
Avoidance.
Which we really don't want to have happen. What we want to know is find out what your dog or cat gets super excited about, and that's what they find valuable is what's going to give you that kind of intensity in the behaviors you're training. But there's something else that goes along with why that gull brought back that ring that day, right? And it is the degree of understanding in the criteria that you'd establish in your training.
Well, yes, we try to be very clear in what we're asking for. And there are also numbers of repetitions, and I really can't emphasize that enough, as repetitions, that these gulls had thousands of trials, many of them over very short distances, and over those short distances, sometimes we made it very difficult for the gull to do what it was supposed to do. But the gull already had the tools to solve the problems that were presented to it. We never asked this gull to do things that we hadn't prepared the gull to do. And that was in anticipation of what the gull might face in the open environment, although we never anticipated the attack of a bald eagle.
However,
we never simulated a bald eagle attacking the gull.
All of the great value and safety that gull got
Absolutely.
Gave them reason to fly through that attack. And so you need to say to yourself, like, I taught my dog to play Frisbee in the backyard, so now I'll go to the park amongst all the busy road and I throw the Frisbee and all of a sudden my dog chases the car and gets hit. Right? There's a lot of little stages, as Bob said. These animals could fly to search for their ring 50 miles, but they started a lot of the training. How big was that pen you trained in, Bob?
Oh, the actual early distances were less than a meter.
And how many flights of less than a meter do you suppose that they took?
Oh, hundreds.
Right? So,
Hundreds.
So you can't train in a little micro environment and then just cold turkey say, hey, my dog could do this anywhere. Doesn't matter if you're training dog agility or you're training your pet to have some great family behaviors.
We had a regular protocol that we went from little environments to bigger environments to bigger environments to bigger environments. When we're really going to introduce a real distraction that we consider to be very severe, we are sure that we introduce that at a very short range under a restricted environment so the animal can really understand its focus is whatever we want it to be.
Exactly. So I know that you're not trying to impress any admirals or colonels out there, but you will get amazing behavior from your dog. But even more so, it's the reinforcement you get as an owner of these pets to see them figure things out and go to the next level and the next level and the next level. So yes, it's reinforcing to get the dog to do that behavior or the cat, but it's also reinforcing to see your dog or cat become more confident and be able to learn all of those layers as you move along, right?
Sure. Well, I think success in itself is kind of reinforcing.
Absolutely. For the animals.
And for the owner.
And for us. Thank you, Dr. Bailey. That's been it for my chats with the great, iconic Dr. Bob Bailey. We'll see you next time.